What's going on YouTube? My name's Connor O'Toole. I go by Connor on Chain, bringing you another video today. Mainly I want to talk about my crypto investment strategy. Now this is something I probably should have talked about a lot more in my previous videos. This is a very important video for the people that do not understand how crypto really moves, how new projects launch, what happens after launch, like pre-launch, during launch. There's a lot of little things that you need to focus on. And I'm going to show you guys how I analyze charts from the perspective of pre-launch, during launch, post-launch, and what I wait for, what I wait to see to actually get into projects. So I'm literally going to pull up Dex Screener right now. I'd use TradingView, but I don't think my computer can take it right now. So I'm just going to bring up a chart that I've talked about many times in the past. So we're going to pull up Uniswap here. So as far as new coins, new launches, new projects, this is going to be one of the greatest examples to give you guys, just to show you what many different launches will look like in the future and whether they've been out. So what is this? Okay, so actually this doesn't go back all the way. So you know what? We're going to pull up a pair that I'm very fond of. So this coin's called Titanium 22. So in Titanium, so I'm going to show you guys right here. This exact chart is kind of what I plan to wait for a lot of projects in this space. A lot of long-term projects are going to do exactly this. Step one is the project is going to be hyped. It's going to be a very hype whatever project narrative, whatever's going on with it. A lot of different volume. You know, eventually, and once the coin launches from day one is usually going to be a big play. It's going to be a big move. Price is going to shoot up just like this. It's going to have it's pre-pump from when it literally is about to launch. Then it launches. Everyone's trying to get in, and you're going to have a lot of different people trying to get in, get out at the same time. So it's going to move. It's going to be very volatile. Then a good amount of time, there's going to be multiple different scenarios that actually come out of this. But for the most part, what happens is, depending on certain time frames and what actually happens, is if you got a short time frame project like this, say for example, you know, the price pumped, it came back down, and eventually the hype started to slowly fade. It slowly trickled down, and you know, over a few days, over a few weeks, whatever, depending on the project, it goes from very hype, very violent price swings, usually to the upside, then heavy corrections. It's going to move like crazy, and eventually price is going to start phasing out, fizzling out. Volume is going to slow dramatically, you know, if not completely. And then after the volume has faded fairly completely, if not 100%, then that is time to get in. So this is Titanium. And this is before it really started moving. Like, this is kind of what I look for in many projects when they launch and after launch. This is exactly what I wait for. Not every project is going to do this. There's going to be a lot of projects that, you know, do something different. They do something a little bit different, you know. I'm going to show you a couple examples here too in a minute. But just off of my own charts that I'm going to draw for you right now. Say for example, some charts, some prices are gonna, some coins are gonna launch. Give me 1 second. Let me delete this. I don't even know why that's there. I forget. But anyways, some coins are gonna launch. They're gonna have a nice pump. You know, this is gonna be, say, on the 4 hour. 4 hour, it's gonna pump. It's gonna keep going. And then this could be a couple days worth of time, right? So when you're looking at a project that just launched 2 days ago, it's been moving up like crazy. You know, it's gonna correct, come back down. Then eventually it's going to pump like this. So bottom line, you're in phase one of the launch. Project is just launched, and depending on the kind of launch that it had, you know, different launches are a fair launch where the token was just dropped, liquidity was added, dropped on a DEX, there's nothing more to it. Very fair launch, like there's no VCs, no backing, no nothing. That's going to be usually your coins that are going to be very volatile at first, but have insane swings to the upside before their hype dies, because you don't have a huge supply of people that have bought in before the project launched to sell their tokens to make that profit back, or are looking to make a quick 2, 5, 10, 20x. So a fair launch is going to be one of the main ones to look for, and like I said, that happens a lot with usually a lot of meme coins. It's kind of like similar. A meme coin's going to launch most of the time with 100% like fully circulating supply. Like all the tokens are just out. You don't have to worry about anything or anyone aside from the project actually being a rug and being BS. But that's aside of the point that I'm talking about here. So that's A, projects to look for. Projects like, or I guess B that I'm talking about are going to be projects that, they launch, but they had a lot of seed investors, a lot of backing. And a lot of times the price on these coins is going to depend on the hype. Usually if the marketing on this coin, on the whatever project it is, if the marketing is insanely good, the backing is great, they get a lot of partnerships. Usually the hype is going to drive the coin price right off the bat. It's going to do a nice moonshot. But a lot of times what I've seen is in these very violent price swings to the upside, if these coins have a lot of backing, is they will take a violent dump to the downside almost directly after. And why? Again, because if these projects have a lot of people investing in seed level, which is like way lower than when price is actually going to launch on exchanges or a DEX, depending on the launch, whatever it is, people are selling because instantly when the project launches, before even any price movement, they're going to be in profit, whether it's 50% on their money, or they've already done a 2x, a 5x. So they're already going to be in profit, and a lot of these people are going to be selling off most, if not all, of their tokens instantly, right when the project launches, or if they believe it over the next couple of days, it continues up and they start selling. Until that hype starts to slowly fade away, the project is going to just go up and eventually cause a crash. So I don't know if you guys have caught the gist of it. Is bottom line, a project when it is launched is always going to be hype. Unless it's like a private launch, as in like no one even knows it's launching, or stealth launch is what I'm talking about. So either way, it's important to look for what kind of launch you're dealing with. But again, bottom line, a coin is going to pump. Initially, it's going to have its move up, and eventually, it might keep pulling back. It might keep moving up. But in my opinion, I don't invest when everything is hyped up like crazy. Unless it's tiny in market cap and it's still very undervalued and maybe like a couple days old, but the potential just hasn't been seen. Like, I very rarely invest in a project right when it launches. Again, unless it meets that criteria. What I wait for is the hype launch to just play out. I'm just watching from the sidelines. Let it do what its thing. Let it run from 600K when it launches in market cap. Maybe it goes to 1 million. Then this pullback. Then it goes to 1.5. Then it goes to 2. Then it has one more massive move up, for example. Shoots all the way up here. Say now it's at like $2.5 million in market cap. It just launched. Finally has its first main pullback. People are still bullish. It tries to continue. Then it tries, and eventually it just dumps and it slows down. This, for the most part, is what happens to most, if not 90% of projects. Like, you're rarely going to find a project that launches that does this. Say over the next few days, weeks, it goes like this, continues. A project is never going to just go up only. And even if you're looking for a good project to get into, it's still going to dip at some point, which, if you guys have seen my other videos, I'm always using charts like this. So you guys might look at it and be like, yo, what is that? But this is a very simple thing that I do to keep my head straight when it comes to a buying opportunity. If a project launches, this is the launch price down here, and it just had its peak, and it's kind of chilling like this now. This for me is saying, okay, if I'm going to actually look into buying this in the long term, first criteria is I want to make sure this is going to dump a dramatic amount before I invest. Because some people might see this and see a pullback and be like, oh shit, it just pulled back. Like, this is the dip I've been waiting for. But again, no. If a project just launched and it's still hype, there's still a great chance that this is going to be a fake out and it's going to continue down right from launch. Like, you know, a lot of projects, it depends on every single project. It's going to be different. It's going to have a little bit different price action. But for the most part, every single launch is similar to this. It'll eventually just shoot up. It'll have whatever, one, maybe 2 to 3 major pushes to the upside. But eventually it's going to come down. And it might climb back down eventually into back into this green zone, which this is, I think, about an 80% drop from where its all-time high would be, maybe 75 to 80. And that right there alone is like an entry signal. It's not 100% my entry signal, but what I focus on is I wait for the launch to die out. Once the hype is dead, prices in or around that green zone, and the sentiment on Twitter, sentiment on social media is still there. And if the team is still delivering and it's still very undervalued for what it is, that is when I buy in. Like, you know, there's a lot of factors that play into it, but that is how I look for my newer projects, my newer investments. And this is what I was talking about with titanium here. This is why I think this chart was just beautiful. Like I said, it had its launch. You know, it was hyped for a while, had its move, but eventually it started trickling down. And what did it do? It trickled right into the green zone. And this, for example, like, it can go below the green. Again, this is never going to be a set in stone target. Some projects will touch it. They'll come right around here. It'll shoot back up into more gains, you know. But I'm talking about more long-term time frames. Even though titanium here is not the longest term time frame that I'm looking for all the time. But the chart to me just looked very good. It had its hype phase, phase 1. Phase 2, it came down into this green zone. And phase 3, volume was dead. No one was talking about it, in a good buy zone. This is when I start to be like, okay, now I can look into this project, and if the project is what it is, what it says it is, if it's going to deliver, this is key to entering the markets, key to getting in, and this is how you're going to make the most money. Because, for example, this is when I got into titanium, right at the bottom. You know, I've just been an advocate for it. I haven't sold a single coin since I bought. I'm holding this very long term. You know, because I just like believing in a lot of these smaller projects. And I really want to see the growth over time. I want to see what happens, you know. But this kind of thing, exactly what I'm talking about with entering and exit. Like, let's go to some new pairs. I want to try to see and just give you guys an example. We're going to go to age. You know, so you can just look at new pairs here. So, you know, just by analyzing this, so this is on the 1 hour, so this is a day old. Right, so for me, this would be too early for me to tell what it's going to do. But what I know is what I'm waiting for is eventually going to be a pullback all the way down from where it launched into my green zone. You know, and it depends too, because if the project is still hyped, it's still moving, this is just going to look like a pullback. But what we want to wait for is if this, say this is longer time frame, you know, this could go up, it still could continue. It's eventually going to top out and the hype for it will die. And what I'm saying is once that hype dies, this is what it's going to look like. Like, it's going to do this, fade out and start to fizzle out until volume looks like it's fucking flatlining. Once it does that, once it is in this area here, that is when you look into the project. Once the hype is dead, once it's in a great buy zone, the team and project are still delivering, you know, like I stated about a minute ago. But I think it's just so important. So that's kind of all I got for you guys this video. I hope you got some value out of it. So bottom line, if you're looking to get into very good long-term holds, do what I've just told you here. Because if you wait for a project to lose its hype, but it's still delivering and it's still pushing, that is when you get in. If you take anything out of that, is do not just buy into hype because it just launched a day ago. 90% of the time, you're going to get wrecked. You're going to get burned on these projects. Unless you're getting in very early and it has a lot of hype factors that are going to push the price up in the very short term. You know, that's really all I got for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed. And if you guys got anything out of it, please leave a like, comment. You know, let me know your strategies. What do you guys do? And again, I focus on long-term holds. I'm not a trader in the space. I love just holding long-term and waiting to see what happens with it. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video.